Welcome to the Darren Woodson Show. Today's guest is our good friend, new good friend, best good new friend.
Because we're the four best friends that anybody could have, because we're the four.
Sal Frisella. And I know a lot of you are familiar with Sal Frisella in First Form. Andy Frisella, his brother. Unbelievable duo, unbelievable company and team. We've ranted and raved all about them on this podcast. So excited to share with you guys this episode and this conversation. Man, we got deep into fatherhood. We got deep into leadership.
Everything.
We got deep into a lot of different topics that, yes, we've touched on in the past, but man, this one went to another level. And Sal's just such a great...
One of the most informative.
Yes.
Yeah, it really was. Like,
had.
well, gosh, it was so good because with Andy, Andy, and it speaks to who they are in the company, right? Andy was very visionary. Like, I believed in this, so we got to do this and thinking about this next step. Whereas Sal was so much like, look, we've got to lead people. We got to create leaders. We got to and pouring into them. So it was two very different episodes from two brothers that have created an awesome brand with Real AF and First Form.
And you know what it reminds me of is the conversation we had a few weeks back on communication and how you need to surround yourself with people that compliment you the way you communicate. And they're a great example. Andy's very direct. He's very, in charge. This is the way it's done. Sal loves people. And so does Andy, but he just knows how to communicate well with people in that way. And so hope you guys enjoy the episode. But before we get there, Tyler, why don't you tell us a little bit about today's sponsor?
Man, our partner, In Good Taste. It's been like we try to align with brands that we really believe in.
Right.
And this is like the epitome of that. Because look, none of us are drinking wine at 10 a.m. because we have jobs or otherwise we would be. But this is something that it adds value to us. We're always looking for something that adds value, right? Or we just don't have the time in the day to spend any resources on it. But In Good Taste has helped all of us understand more just about wine, what we like, how to buy it, what this wine, where it's from, what year it is. I mean, all these things that you think, oh my gosh, wine's too complicated. I don't care what vintage it is. I don't care what area it is. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But it does. Yeah. But when we go buy wine, it's like, okay, someone told me that I should like this wine. But why do I like this wine? I don't even know if I do. So now we're wasting all this money on bottles of wine because we're trying to impress people because it's expensive. In Good Taste really breaks it down, makes it very simple by delivering a box of 7 to 8 bottles of wine and 1 glass per bottle. So you can go through the tasting and understand why you like it, why you don't like it.
Right.
And then you can go and learn more. What else do they do though, Darren?
Events, virtual events, online. If you love wine and you want to have a party with your business or with family members, go online. In Good Taste will send you a package of wine that you can go on, that you can sit online virtually and have these conversations and get, I'm not going to say tore down.
Hey, but think about it.
Have some good drinks.
8 glasses of wine is 2 bottles per box.
Very good tasting wines. And then you can figure out which one is your best. Or if it's 2 or 3 that are your best, and then go order those instead of wasting your time buying wine bottles, the large wine bottles that you don't like. But this is In Good Taste, and the relationship that the Darren Woodson Show is having. It's more than just a partnership. It's family.
That's
it's
right.
Eric Turner. It's Stephen Turner. It's Joe, the CEO of In Good Taste. They poured into us, and we just want to give back to them as well. But they have a great business. Just go online and check out ingoodtaste.com.
Ingoodtaste.com. Yeah, there's nothing I hate more than buying wine that I don't drink.
Which is every bottle that you've ever bought.
Literally every bottle I've ever tried. Enjoy the episode.
But we're going to get Ben on it. In Good Taste, we're going to convert Ben.
Enjoy the episode.
And welcome to the Darren Woodson Show. Really excited about today's guest. For those of you that have followed a little bit, we went up to St. Louis a little bit ago and had the honor of being hosted at First Form's headquarters and then going on to the show Real AF with Andy Frisella and Sal Frisella. Now, last summer, we had Andy on our show, talk through his journey and story. Now, we've got the better sibling now on the show with us, but we've got Sal Frisella, president of First Form. Man, really appreciate you coming on, taking some time. I know you guys are slammed up there, but thank you for taking some time with us.
No, man, I appreciate you guys having me. And just to clarify, better looking, right?
Yep.
Smarter.
Yep.
100%. Smarter, harder working. Yeah, absolutely. Better athlete, leader, the whole thing.
But I want to know who won the actual fight. That's all I want to know. That's all I want to know.
Who would you put your money on?
I don't know. You know, Andy will bite you. Like, you might have him locked down, and you might get some teeth marks. So, you know what?
Bastard, I'll tell you that. He's a lot like. You probably know this from tackle. Like, he's a lot. You got to get around him, and you're like, God damn, how do I get around this thing?
That barrel chest, man. That's hard to suplex someone when your fingers can't touch. Getting around him for sure.
Oh, no, I double leg. I had him. The last time he charged me, and I know not to go him up top because he's so he's hard to get this way. So, but I can shoot the legs. So I shot the legs, and I picked them up, and I thought, holy shit, we're up here now. So it was listen. When we hit the ground, it's loud. That I can promise you.
Yeah, for sure, man. Hey, I do want to apologize. The fact that we couldn't have you sitting in reaching distance from Darren to have this conversation.
Yeah,
I know y'all had a good time last time,
man.
Sitting next to each other, rubbing each other's legs.
I felt good.
I have to find some small. This nice and soft, smooth leather right here.
Just, as we're talking, Sal's over there rubbing the table. Good stuff. But for those of you that I guess are living under a rock and have not listened to Real AF, go check that out. I mean, obviously start with the episode that we were on, because it's the best one that they've ever done. But honestly, man, it's a very honest, very transparent, very real, very motivating. It's the best out there. So go listen to Real AF if you have not. And then also we're going to continue selling the brand that you've helped build to be what it is today. But First Form is one of the most elite companies that I've ever been around. And like we do on a daily basis, we work with companies every day. And we have not ever seen anything like First Form. So
absolutely.
So make sure to check that out. But again, I want to reemphasize our gratitude to you and Andy and Chris and Big Reg and everybody there for hosting us last time, Matt. It literally was a life-changing trip for us, for sure.
I appreciate it, man. I feel like you're going to ask me on a date. We're going where we're
going. No, he's buttered you up now. We buttered your ass up. It's time to go.
I know how it works, guys, man. Hey, flattery first, man, and then they'll do whatever you want.
No, what's funny is this is going to be pumping our own air horn here, right? But I don't really listen to our show very often. Meaning like once we have an episode, like I can't even tell you. I may have listened to like 2 or 3 episodes total and hundreds. I re-listened to our show because I had so much fun. I laughed so hard. We had so many fucking funny moments. I'm like, I got to go back and even remember. And I found myself walking on a treadmill, and I was laughing at it again the whole way through.
Hey, honestly, that Big Reg conversation that had me rolling.
Yeah. You were laughing at me. You weren't laughing.
Oh, dude. I can still see. I mean, literally, I can see Darren look at him. He's like, Reggie, right?
I want to make sure I get it right.
Oh man. Yeah, I fucked that one up.
Man. Miles on that here. That was gold. I love it.
Oh man. Well, Sal, man, we always like to talk about the journey. You have built an incredible company along with, Chris and your brother but we want to go back and we want to start, when Sal was growing up. Fighting with Andy on a daily basis and, what the family dynamic was. So take us back. We heard Andy's perspective. We want to hear it from you.
Yeah. I mean, I think, we grew up, it's pretty funny because we didn't grow up poor. We certainly didn't grow up rich. Andrew and I are only about 20 months apart. So we grew up really close and we grew up kind of your prototypical little American, I don't want to say dream, but your little American household. It's a gravel road, and we had a 1,500 square foot cedar house or whatever it was. And Andrew and I played home run derby and then tackle football, and then whatever we could get our hands on, we would play and compete and fight. We probably fought every single day of our entire lives. But I think when we were kids, we're just we're from Missouri, right? So we're kind of that blue collar Midwest root feel, and we were fortunate enough to have 2 parents who invested a great deal of love and care and I think, good direction in us. My mom was always she was the mom that, always told us to do the right thing. No matter what, there's never a wrong time to do the right thing. And she always stood by that. And, And my dad was very much the blue collar hard work. You're going to sweep the warehouse. He was an electrical supply. He owned a little electrical supply house. And so we'd go back and, play hockey with wire nuts and, sweep the floor and break light bulbs and do all types of shit, when he wasn't looking. But, we kind of had just that good mix of, a mom who really instilled some good values in us and a dad who forced us that at a young age, you understand that, the hard work is never going to be replaced by any type of master plan or sorcery, if you will. It's hard to beat that blue collar work ethic. And so, we're fortunate enough to have two parents who invested in us at a young age, and we were able to, have a great childhood, if you will.
Yeah. So we met Dad on our visit. And that was a comedy show when we met your father, man. He's the king of the one-liners, man. And I tell you, and you sort of see where you guys get it from. But how was he when you were growing up? What kind of father was he? Was he a straight shooter with you? Was he hard on you? Did he lean on you guys?
My dad, I think the best quality about my dad, one, he's funnier than hell.
Yeah.
Okay. We were raised as young adults at a young age. And I try to raise my son as similarly as I remember it. No secrets, no stones unturned. If we have a question, we're going to talk about it, right? We have a problem, we're going to address it. And my dad, is always first to say, hey, listen, like, these are my cards. I'm going to put them on the table, and we're going to work through this right now. We're not going to wait until later. And it goes same for, if we're going to get our ass whooped, it was happening right then. It wasn't like, hey, when you get home, we're going to put soap in your mouth. It's like, we're at the baseball field, you're going to get your ass whooped right now. You know what I mean? So it was always corrective action on the fly. But I think the best part about my dad is, my best part of me remembering my dad growing up is, being a great friend and being a person of character is really the difference in life. And no matter how high you get or how low you get, as men especially, we're pretty simple creatures. And I watched my dad, really work rooms at a young age, whether it was the janitor or the CEO. My dad treated everybody the same. And he always instilled, having a good time or drinking a beer or having a good conversation or having my dad was married 3 times, right? Or 2.5 times, if you will. And he was always the relationship advice guy. He's like, all right, fuck that up. Don't do that. But everywhere we went, I always remember he would find a bond no matter where they were inside the silo of life, and he would connect to them. And I think, we got the great privilege of watching my dad, whether it was a bar room or a ballroom, kind of have those interactions and see that, we're all human. We all interact the same way. We all struggle. And we all need an ear to talk to and a shoulder to lean on at times. And being that person can create a great deal of significance in somebody's life. And I watched this growing up, because a lot of times as guys, like, we don't want to express that stress or that struggle or that weakness that we have, that we all have, that we think, maybe we're the only person that has it. And I watched my dad really create unbelievable relationships up and down that, barroom to ballroom chain based off just being a good friend and being somebody who you could listen to and somebody who would drink a beer with you and somebody who would help you dig a hole or whatever needed to have happen. My dad was always there in that mix. And usually came with a good story, that was maybe fabricated a little bit, but a great joke and a cold beer. And I watched my dad, suit that into us at a young age. And it really kind of, if you look back, it kind of set the foundation for our young group of leaders that we have here at First Form. Is, we've shed tears together, we've drank beers together, we've done everything in between, and the life is a journey. That's what I've learned, and it's not necessarily where you're going; it's who you're with. And I think my dad taught us that at a really young age, and I'm extremely fortunate to have been raised around that.
Yeah, man, I agree. I think that's unique, especially for the men of his generation. Like, everything they did in that generation was solo, right, by themselves. I know watching my dad didn't have guy friends. He didn't have that because he just worked and served the kids, and like that was it. And that's a really good point. Making sure as men, especially at this phase of life, is focusing on pouring into people and having friends, having someone that you can share your thoughts on. So I think that's awesome, because that to me is very unique to his generation.
Yeah, and I'll share a story with you that's rooted with me a long way, and you can. Well, I guess since this is a new audience, 'cause, I mean, I think, 'cause, you know, I think my dad, you know, really worked rooms, as a young age. And my dad was very much the, you know, the blue collar hard work, you know, you're going to sweep the warehouse. He was an electrical supply house. He was owned a little electrical supply house. And so we'd go back and, play hockey with wire nuts and, you know, sweep the floor and break light bulbs and do all types of shit, when he wasn't looking. when I had just had my son Enzo, and this is just the type of guy that my dad was in business and just in general. And I was walking through the aisle at Home Depot, and I had just had my son, and this guy stopped me and he said, "Hey, are you Sal?" And we have enough kind of internet notoriety where you get some people that ask you. We're not Darren, you know what I mean? We don't walk around and people carry around on their shoulder type stuff. We're like the layman cool guy, But it was one of those things and I was like, I got my son with me. I'm like, yeah, he's like, "Hey, I just want to tell you, your daddy put me in business, 35 years ago, and he gave me a credit line at his electrical distribution house, and I want to let you know I got 100 employees, and I got 4 kids, and your dad was one of the best men that I ever dealt with. And when he got out of his business, I miss doing business with him. I miss seeing him. I miss hanging out with him. And I just want to let you know that we have this, our business has thrived, and it all started with, your dad helping us out." And man, I remember that feeling of like, I had so much pride in myself at that point in time because of my dad. Right. And it wasn't like, it was just a true, genuine nature of, I understand how my dad's wired. It's like, hey man, I'm gonna help this other blue collar guy. We're going to get through this together. And if I can help him, he can return and help me. Yeah. But to hear those words come through as a son, and it really shaped how I think about business in general now. Like, I don't do anything for myself. I always do it for how people are going to treat my kids. And we can get into that. But, that impact was so powerful to me because it's, and you guys said, the journey and the journey of life, when you make it about servant leadership, serving other people so that they do best, it's amazing how their lives can shape and take place and how you can impact people that my dad probably has no idea, you know what I mean, to this day. But that guy sought me out and gave me that advice, and it's just filled me up, and it made me feel really good.
I want to get more on the servant part later, but let's focus on that leadership part and how sports was a big part of your journey. So take us back to high school. Obviously, you were a baseball player, played professional ball, but talk us through that football, because you were the quarterback, correct? In that backfield, wasn't it you at quarterback, Andy at fullback, and then Chris at tailback?
Yep. We were the backside, and we always used to argue in the huddle. That was always great. It's like, give me the fucking ball, stop giving it to Chris. It was always a battle. But man, it's funny because, it's interesting because Chris, Andrew, and I have been together. I mean, most people don't realize that. Chris, Andrew, and I we've been together for almost 30 years, like 27 years.
Wow.
And it started with football, right? Yeah. And so I think, I don't know if I'm going to write a book on this at some point in time, but I always talk about locker room leadership. Like everything that I learned about the code of business happened inside a locker room at some point in time. And I think, with the locker room is a very sacred place that teaches you a lot about, character, people, selfishness, winning, losing. Sorry about that, guys. Banging through, but I've learned that it doesn't matter if you're black, white, pink, purple. It matters about, being amongst men or women of character and who's willing to fight for you, who's willing to go to battle for you, who's touching the line when you're doing conditioning drills, who's escaping out of the work, who's going to 7-on-7 ball in the summers, who's doing the work when no one's looking. That matters. And you start to realize how that really transcribes into life in general.
Yeah.
And, we've set our business up to have a locker room style leadership, if you will, where, hey man, like you say you're in to win, but what are you willing to do in order to do that? And, we have a lot of ancillary activities, if you will, that are constantly pushing the envelope to see who's invested in not only our company, but our customers, and, who's in it for the team and who's in it for themselves. And trying to use the experience of a locker room to really help us in business in general has been really one of the best things that's ever happened to me, because, team is where the success is really built. You can only do so much as an individual, and getting the team to believe that they can be a part of the journey, and then transcribing that to understand that, not everybody can be quarterback, and, knowing your role is an important piece, but we all have an opportunity to win a Super Bowl, but somebody has to be the left tackle. Somebody's got to play, right guard. somebody's got to be the water boy. Somebody's got to bring the equipment to the field. And so where is your role in the team and making sure that you can express the importance of how everybody's role matters in the team winning, and then watching those actions take suit, and then developing talent and figuring out, like, just like, you know, when you're a little kid, everybody wanted to be quarterback, but not everybody could be quarterback, right? So what talent do you have? Well, son, you're going to be a nose tackle. Well, nobody desires to be a nose tackle at 12, right? So figuring and seeing and developing young talent, you know, and then expressing the importance of how their role matters, no matter where it is in the organization, that a team is comprised of a bunch of people with the same mission in mind, the same work ethic in mind, the same mission, goals, drive in mind, and then being able to express that to them so that we all work in unison. And I think, you know, the locker room in a world where it's, you know, listen, we live in a personal branding world where it's very much about me, right? Like it's how to build your personal brand, how you can make $1 million. And then really what the locker room taught me is how to transcribe that me message into we. You know, how do you take a me versus we mentality, and realizing that we can all have individual success inside this big company win, right? And so painting that picture, you know, for our guys and girls here, I learned to kind of paint that role from the locker room, whether it was football or baseball, is, you know, hey guys, we all have an extremely important role in winning a championship. You know, you just need to know your role and stay in your lane. And if we do our jobs, we can win.
Yeah. And that, you know, you said something there about touching the line. Like, that's simple. It's that simple. When you're in the locker room or you're in business, like if you're that person, and I'll use this football analogy, which you basically used earlier. When you're touching the line, that means you have to bend down, touch the line, and everybody's supposed to touch the line and then run back, or, you know, and then run back across and then touch the other line or whatever it is, right? There's a discipline in that. And when you see that person that's not taking that extra step to do the basic of touching that line, it's that same person that during the game, the ball finds them. In the most crucial time, that person that's undisciplined, that's selfish, that ball finds them. And that, man, that spoke for what you said right there.
For sure.
It speaks across the board, man. It doesn't matter what business you're in. If you don't have the simple discipline just to finish.
And what I love about, and you're right on, and by the way, you do need to write a book for sure, because I think so many corporations say, hey, I want to hire an athlete, like either collegiate, high school at least, like you have to be a part of a team, but they can't quantify what the value of an athlete brings. The biggest thing about locker room that I feel like, the locker room leadership that you're talking about, is it exposes you. You can't hide in the locker room. Like you said, you know who's not going to the summer 7-on-7s. You know who's not in the weight room in February. So in business, and I feel like especially in the social media era, right? You can blast all this stuff. You can say all these things, but you have no idea what they're doing when they're not on social media. Or you can hide behind a team sometimes in business, and you could give out orders and you can respond to emails and you can do this. But in that locker room, athletes understand that you're not going to respect anybody unless you see them putting in the work and you see the results of their hard work contributing to the team. There's no hiding. And that, to me, the leaders in the locker room, there's a reason that they're there. And those are the ones that I feel like can translate and transfer into something else outside of athletics well.
But look at the core commonality between that same person that leads inside the locker room and what that person has the ability to do, right? Like a leader in the locker room has the ability to call somebody out, no matter how far up and down the chain there is. And it's not an age thing. That's, you know, sometimes there's an earned respect thing, but respect is an earned trait that you have through action and through your ability to basically get other people to buy into your belief of the team winning. And the respect is inherent. It's not like you go around and say, well, you have my respect card, sir. And, well, you get half of a card. It's a fucking inherent given feeling that one has, well, especially, you know, one man has for another. And what I learned in that is it's trust, and being able to build trust to get it to loyalty is the number one key aspect in developing young leadership and getting people to buy in. What does that mean? That means that, you know what, I got to lead by example first. Okay. I'm never going to get somebody to buy into my mission if I'm not living my mission, doing my mission, exploiting my mission, and giving every motherfucking thing I got to that mission. And then I got to explain to them why it's important and give them advice to help them through their life. And in my experience, in developing young men and women, I'm going to help them. This is a lesson that my dad taught me, but I crossed it into locker room leadership and in life in general. Dude, guys struggle with money and women. That's the truth. Like that's what guys struggle with.
That's the truth.
You know? And so I found myself to be relationship doctor, and I pride myself, you know, listen, I've had a lot of bad relationships in the past, but I have a great marriage and I love my wife, and we have a fabulous marriage. And, you know, being able to give those guys the experience that I have through mistakes and help them through their journey so that they don't make the same mistakes I made with money and relationships. What happens is they go out into the real world, they use my advice, and then they come back and they're like, hey man, it worked. And I'm like, yeah, I know, I've already tried this. And then respect is earned, right? Because now I'm leading by example day to day in the active. I'm saying, hey, I need you to do this. I need you to show up this time. I need you to fucking bust your ass. But then I'm sending them out with real world advice that changes their life at home, that makes them have a little bit more swagger, a little bit, more financial security. Then they come back and then they become loyal to the system because the system has helped make them a better version of them. Now it's easier to move the team in that direction, right? And the beauty is like what I learned inside the locker room is there are no feelings. I'm not here to hurt your feelings or make you feel good. I'm here to fucking win.
Absolutely.
And being able to transcribe that to a group of young men and women, the message is maybe a little different in how you deliver it. However, the message is really the same. And I tell them all the time, like, my job is not to make you feel good. My job is to make you better men and women of character. And if I sit here and I powder coat it and make you feel good, then I'm not delivering on my end of the deal, which is make you a better human. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that comes with tough love. Now, I know the difference between, I talk about the carrot or the stick. Like, sometimes you get the carrot as a reward, and sometimes you get the reward of the stick. And they will respect the difference, but only if you explain it to them and teach them why it's important for their personal success. And that thing in creating that little envision that they can have the life they want inside the dream of this company, they start to buy in a little deeper. Then what happens is they start to hold other people accountable. Now we have a really good locker room because everybody's beating to the same drum, right? Nobody's leaving towels on the floor. Nope, everybody picks up after their shit. Everybody's there early. Everybody stays late. Nobody's, we don't have to deal with those little knick-knack, pannywhack shit that most people do in business because there's an expectation here. And that expectation is our job is to make you great. And inside that, we can win together. And I want you to win as an individual just as much as I want us to win as a team.
Yeah. And really, though, it's so clear. The reason you're the leader that you are is because you're worried about other people. How often do we find executives, leaders of the community, business, whatever, that are worried about, okay, well, how do I get mine? How do I maximize what I can get? Right. The short-sightedness of that, because people, whether you say it to them or not, they know that you care about their success. Again, you may not be worried about the feelings in the moment, but you care about them being successful, which, roundabout way, now makes first formers more successful, right? That it leads to success. And so that's what to me, a great leader is someone, and that now we get into the servant part, right? Like that's where, look, I serve others, like it's self-serving in a roundabout way, but when people truly care about other people and truly pour into other people, that is the sign of a great leader. And honestly, what we've witnessed from you, man, it's impressive to watch.
Yeah.
But I think, right, like life is very narcissistic in general. And I think a lot of, that people think that's a bad term. But the truth of the matter is it's just really the truth, right? Mm-hmm. And what I've learned to do is, I tell my guys and girls all the time, our business is about helping people through their fitness journey. Mm-hmm. And I like things to be about me, just like you guys like things to be about you, right? Yep. Like that's just the nature. Like you want to feel important. You want to feel special.
Yep. Yes.
Well, when I was younger, I used to go out and tell everybody like, hey, I'm important, or hey, I'm special. And I would try to like prove to myself this mission. Well, I realized that was like this kind of self-loathing kind of thing, but nobody ever really felt it. And I don't know at what moment it clicked or how it worked, but we started really realizing that life was about other people. Like if I can make their lives better and I can make my mission about helping them, inherently they'll make me an important part of their life. And so then we, that servant side of leadership is like, if I want to make it about me, let's just make it about them. And if I can give them the best version of me and all the advice and all the information, whether that's somebody trying to lose weight or gain weight, or somebody inside our walls trying to build their career or their marriage or their personal success, I give and give and give and give and give. And what I realize is then they make it about me. So if I want to make it about me, I got to give to them. And I think life, we miss that aspect because we're all too busy trying to get ours. But if you want to make it about you, you got to learn, you got to give first. And if you want to receive, you have to give. And that has been the best single hack in my life and I couldn't even tell you, I wish I had like an aha moment that this is what it is, but it wasn't that moment. But if I could go back and give myself the younger version of me a piece of advice, it would literally be, hey man, start earlier making the world about other people. And in return, they'll make their world about you. If I knew that earlier, I think I wouldn't have as much perspective as I have now, but I would be a hell of a lot further down the road than I did when I was younger, only worrying about me.
But that's why they call it life experiences. And you go through those experiences and you grow. It's called growth, man. We continue to grow through the process. I want to go back though, Sal, because, let's tell your story about, you played football, you were a quarterback, you played baseball as well. What was the choice like growing up in your high school years to make the decision to further your baseball career?
Yeah, I grew up in that kind of, and when I say the funny area, the area that we all grew up in was where, I wrestled, I played football, I ran track, I played baseball, I played ice hockey. My dad had us playing as many sports as we possibly could. And, it came down to where I was good at two sports. I could play football and I could play baseball. And, I was in the backfield, and you guys know I'm not very tall, like, 6'1". And at the time, they ran that pro-style offense where all your quarterbacks were like, Troy Aikman, 6'5", 6 guys. And I could run a little bit, but, I'm not too smart, but I'm smart enough to realize there aren't a lot of 6'1" tailbacks who are white in the league. And I realized, this is probably not the spot for me. And I was fast, but I wasn't. I was straight line fast, more like it's gonna hurt if I get you type thing. But I didn't have the shake. I didn't have the Barry Sanders hips, and so I realized I could throw a baseball pretty good. I could hit pretty good, and I could run in a straight line. See, in baseball, we don't have to be that athletic. We just gotta go
That's right. And
so the skill set just kind of suited what I did best. And what's funny is I really wasn't even that good. I was just always I was a pretty good worker with a pretty good talent mix where it allowed me to skate by a lot of things.
Yeah. So my question, were you that white running back? Did you wear a neck roll? Was that your thing?
Sal. No, you didn't, Sal.
Bro, I the built-in cowboy collar.
Yes.
It's not,
with the big black rubber elbow pads and the wrist.
Wait a minute. Why do all the white dudes?
I hold on to the football because I sweat so much.
That's right. Yes, that's the truth. But okay, so biggest question is, did you tuck in the cowboy collar or did you put your jersey on the outside of the cowboy collar?
No, I let it fly. I didn't tuck it in. I let it fly.
Man, what is that like? White running back 101 that you got to wear the white the collar and the whole nine.
If you're not going to outrun them, you got to run them.
I was going to say either you had the black neoprene or you had the white volleyball pads on the elbows. It was one of the two.
I couldn't do the volleyball pads. I was in the neoprene. You know what I mean? Listen, hey, just Moose set the table for us.
Yeah, he did.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
You said you're not very good at baseball, but you're being humble. You ended up playing Division I, Southern Illinois, correct? Baseball?
That's correct.
And then you end up going on and getting drafted into the minor leagues. So talk to us about that decision of going to play pro ball. What round were you drafted, all that good stuff?
Man, I think I was like, I can tell you, I was one of the last guys in the draft, so there's always a shot. Remember that. Yeah. So I played 4 years at college. I had the blessed opportunity. I went and played in Cape Cod League, which is like, the Premier League in baseball. Mm-hmm. And I love the sport of baseball. I really do. I love everything about, the baseball gods, just the journey in general. Like baseball really is a true passion of mine. I'd love to get back into it at some point in time. But, I had the blessed opportunity to play for a man in college who has since passed. And he's one of the greatest people that I've ever met in my entire life. In fact, when hopefully I get the opportunity to go to heaven, I can't wait to see him again, just because I respected the man so much. But I spent 4 years at Southern Illinois under a guy by the name of Dan Callahan, who really set me straight down a different path to life. I wasn't a bad kid. I was always, I was a pretty good kid in the grand scheme of things. But, I was confident and I had a lot of cockiness going into college, and he kind of set my rails straight, if you will, and really gave me a good dose of life. But he taught me a lot about, becoming a strong leader and leading by example, and how important it was, to be a man of your word. And, then I had an opportunity to go on after that, and I got drafted in the 37th round. Can you believe that? There's 37 rounds in baseball. There's a lot of baseball. And I know. Tell me about it. Got $1,000, made $1,000.
Hey, that's still higher than I was drafted. So
I'm going to tell you, you want to talk about a lonely ass day. You think you're the shit, right? I was a pretty good college player, and you think you're going to go well. And I had a pretty good slot for my junior year, but we passed. I went to the Cape, and then my senior year, I'm thinking, I'm going to be a top 20 pick or top 20 round pick. That'd be no big deal. You get to round like 26 and you're like, all right, where the fuck? Maybe I'm not going. It's a reality of life,
Right.
But I'll never forget having my name called. I was on an old Hewlett Packard desktop computer listening to the draft on dial-up internet, man. And in the 37th round, I think I was like the 1,111th pick. Think about that. We select Paul Frisella because my first name's Paul. And, I'm not going to lie. In that moment, man, I was a little bit pissed off, but I remember, I caught a tear, and I remember thinking, holy fuck, I did it. And this is a good goal setting experiment for a lot of the young listeners. I did it, because I never set my goals high enough. I always just wanted to play professional baseball. And I never really set my dreams in the big leagues, if you will. I just wanted to play professional baseball. And, I had the opportunity to go play, and I had a couple good years. I had a collision at home plate that broke my leg. But the truth of that matter is, I never really paid the respect or the opportunity that I had in professional baseball. I never really gave it the respect that it needed. And I think that transition of life really helped me set off my professional path. And what I mean by that is, when I got to play professional baseball, and you got to understand, we made $1,200 every 2 weeks. We didn't make shit. Or maybe we made $1,200 a month. I can't remember. It was nothing, peanuts in the grand scheme of life. And I was so worried about my image and being cool. And we see this a lot now on the young Instagram days, right? You want to have so many followers, and you want to post your Rolex online and flex. And the thing is I was so worried about being cool that I forgot about what got me there. I forgot about doing the work and the due diligence. And what I didn't realize is that's when I needed the due diligence to start doing the work. And I forgot that part real quick. And, life served me what I deserved, which is I broke my leg at a collision home plate. And I think the baseball gods, for that matter, they took that opportunity away from me. And I don't take that moment lightly. So it was a different transition of life. That's for sure. Because I went from being, a professional baseball player in St. Louis, which is, Darren, in baseball land, it's like being a part of the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas, right?
That's right.
We have good baseball here. So but the girls, they didn't know that I only made $1,200 a month. So they thought I played. So they all thought I was rich. So I could go into any bar, man. They all thought I was the king, the king ding-a-ling. But the truth of the matter, I wasn't shit. And when I broke my leg, transitioned me. That was it. That was the last game I played. And then off into business land I went.
Was there any? I'm sorry, man. Was there any depression that came that settled in after that? Where how did you feel through that transition?
Yeah, actually, there was a lot of loneliness, for about 6-8 months, right? So I went from, being, chasing my dreams, doing what I always wanted to do, right, being the guy, to I'll never forget this guy named Bruce Mano. He walked me down an aisle and he said, "Hey, we're going to let you go." And I'd never been told no in my entire life. Never in my entire life have I ever been told no to a sports team. I was always, delivered, if you will. And that rejection, man, that happened set in for the first time in my life. And I remember driving home. I made it 20 hours. I drove straight through the whole way home and just confused. I was young. I didn't know what to do with life. And, depression / anxiety / as athletes, we always had what was next. You know what I mean? From your freshman to your sophomore year, you were going to go play summer ball here, and you had a weight program that was here, and you knew exactly what the transgression was. And now I got to a point in life where I didn't know shit because they were going to tell us what was next, and I didn't have a fucking next. And I think that fear of the unknown was really, it was scary. That's the truth. And I did what any single young guy would do. I went and got a dog. And that dog who hangs, actually his painting hangs right here. That dog didn't save my life or anything like that, but he gave me a little bit of responsibility, a little bit of direction. And I remember, like, and I miss that dog. I know it sounds really stupid to this day for that reason, because like when I was the loneliest, because you feel like a failure, right? To your family, to your friends. And they don't look at you that way. They were still extremely proud because you were their friend that made her. You were their friend that was doing well. But internally I had failed myself, and I had let them down. And I had given up on that opportunity. And that's a lot of weight to digest inside, a young alpha type person who's trying to do the best they can. And I was drinking a lot more than I should have because of my leg. I was taking pain pills. I went down that whole route, the whole route that you hear a lot of the athletes come out of. And, I found that dog, and that dog gave me purpose. He gave me he gave me a friend that, he would be there for me when no one else would. And, I could talk to him. I could be with him. He'd ride with me. I didn't need any justification with him. So yeah, that finding myself period from when I was done playing until I, started getting a real job. It was a lonely summer. That's for sure.
Yeah. So how old were you at that time, Sal?
I was 24. So I was 24 years old.
24. So, man, that hits home because so many athletes, and I would say veterans on a larger scale, like on a more intense a scale of that, go through that exactly what you described. It's okay. I had all the direction. Now I don't know what to do. Like I don't know how to apply for jobs, what I want to do really, because my focus has been on athletics. I've had tunnel vision on that. So you said 6 to 8 months or so, you get the dog. What's next? Like, okay, now I'm going to get in the business world. Like, obviously, your brother was starting his supplement store at this time, right? He had started.
This is, Andrew was probably, this is 2004, I guess, I broke my leg 2004, 2005. So Andrew's 3 or 4 years in the business. Mm-hmm. And, they had one store. They were still grinding it out. Mm-hmm. And so naturally, he wasn't making any money. He was making $600 a month. I was making about $600. I was making nothing at this time, living at home. And so naturally, like any young guy would do, is figure out which one of my friends makes the most money. Yeah. And it's my buddy Ryan. He sold copiers. And I'm like, well, I could sell copiers. If Ryan can sell copiers, I'll sell copiers. And now I'll never forget, I went to Men's Warehouse, picked myself. I got 3 suits. They had like a 3 for $2.99 type deal. Oh, yeah. And, I went and started selling copiers, man. I started it was like October 1st. And I put a suit on for the first time. And I remember walking into that building, I was scared shitless, man. I was so scared because, I don't know what the hell I'm getting into. And so I had the beautiful journey of transition of life. I went from the guy at the bar who played for the St. Louis Cardinals to the copier salesman. So I always figured out you couldn't go to the bar and tell the girls what do you do? I'm a copier salesman.
Yeah. Tell me more.
A football player is way cooler than I'm a copier salesman. So then you start describing it. You're like, well, I'm a technology specialist.
Yeah. I'm in sales.
Technology. You hit a copier and this is talk about letdown, man. Like once I had to really tell them what I did, it was like, holy fuck, this guy sells copiers.
Want to take a quick break from the episode and tell you guys about a brand new partnership. Because you guys listen to the podcast, companies are now coming to us and wanting to be a part of this. Yeah. And that's 100% because of you guys. So wanted to tell you about an exciting new partnership.
Man, this is a great partnership. And it's a long-time friendship that I've had with Choctaw Casino and Resort, located in Durant, Oklahoma, just across the Red River here. Easy drive, great people, great resort. The new renovations going on. Got a fantastic pool that's outside. So if you have kids, or if you just want to get away alone with your wife, your girlfriend, whatever, your partner, doesn't matter what it is, go over to Choctaw Casino and Resort. Have a great time. Again, we always talk about relationships on this podcast. We have a great relationship with Walter Allen, who's over there, and the people over at Choctaw Casino have just been wonderful.
Yeah. Hopefully you don't have a wife and a girlfriend at the same time.
Yeah, a little bit of both, but have a good time anyway.
But yeah, like Darren said, go check them out, Choctaw Casino and Resort. Now back to the episode.
But yeah, so I had to. But you know what? I learned a lot. I learned a lot about what not to do selling copiers, which I'm very, very thankful for. I had a guy. who really taught me everything I teach my guys not to do in sales.
Yeah.
He taught me how to sell copiers, and it was kind of the sleazy used car salesman approach. And what's interesting is, I think the lesson inside my copier career is, in every journey there's a lesson, good, bad, or indifferent. You just need to learn to see it that way. And that lesson for me is, it was a good lesson because it told me what I didn't want to do. I could sell because I had the gift of gab, but I never felt good doing it. It was like slamming boxes and changing rates and, trying to hook people in, kind of like you would, envision a used car salesman. Yeah. And I didn't want to have that reputation. And so that didn't last too long for me. I had about an 18-month stint selling copiers. And then I was blessed with the opportunity to sell medical devices with Johnson & Johnson, the baby company, if you will. And that was a great opportunity. So I went from selling boxes to kind of a little bit more of a prestigious, career, if you will. And I had a great boss, the guy by the name of John Riley, who taught me a lot about sales, taught me a lot about how to be a true professional salesperson. And, I had a great job, honestly. It's the dream job for most people. I was a young salesperson, had a really good career, had the opportunity, I made mid six figures as a young guy. I was 27, 28 years old at this point, making $300,000-$400,000 a year, had a really good job, but it just wasn't fulfilling, man. And I think, I had the company car, the 401k, I worked for one of the best companies. And I think this is really where the transition of finding myself, really kind of started to take shape is, copiers taught me what I didn't want to be. And medical sales showed me that maybe what everybody else wanted in life isn't what I wanted in life. And I realized, at that point in time, because all my friends thought I was crazy, that I was going to leave and go work with my brother, because I made a lot of money and I had a company car and I had a good gig and I played golf 2 or 3 days a week. And, I remember having the conversation with myself, thinking am I crazy? But I don't love what I do, and I started, I was making really good money and you start realizing that maybe the weight that we place on money wasn't what everybody said it was up to be. And I started to have a lot of, indifferent feelings about what I did every day. I didn't love going to work. I loved who I worked for and I was pretty good at what I did, but I didn't have that sense of team. I didn't have that sense of community, of winning that you had inside a locker room, that you had from sport. And I really felt lonely, man. That's the truth. That's the God's honest truth. And, Andrew had presented us with an idea. Andrew and Chris had this idea for a couple of years about starting a brand and trying to take it national. And I remember one year I was like, fuck it, man, I'm in. I'm just going to go. We went to Starbucks. Andrew, Chris, and I, we sat down. We came up with a little game plan. That was in May. And June I left, or in July I left. And August 1st was my first day at First Form. It'll be 11 years. So it's been a while.
That's awesome.
Well, something you just said there that I don't want to skate over, talking about money. And if I can take this personal for a second, one of the best days and one of the worst days of my life actually just happened last year when I came to the realization that money doesn't do to me what I thought it was going to do. And I played it up in my head, once I do this, once I make this amount of money, life is going to be good. All of a sudden, everything's going to be changed. And when it didn't do that, like I said, it was both the worst day of my life, but it also was so freeing. And now it's given me permission in my mind, the money's not going to change. You're going to be who you are no matter how much money you make. So you might as well pursue what you're after. You might as well pursue what you're really into. And so for you, that realization, I want to talk a little bit more about that realization for you when the money didn't do for you what you thought it was going to do.
Yeah, I think, for me as a young guy, right, 27, 28, you're making whatever, close to $500,000 and, I'm living life. And I placed all my net worth on money. And when I say net worth, I mean my heart, my mind, my soul, my spirit, even my attitude towards my friends. It was almost like, well, I have more money than you, so I have my value more. What I realized is I was out of fucking whack. And why that's important is, and I think back to your point, about, when you place too much value on money, you realize that somebody always has more and there's always makes more, and you never actually ever achieve it. Right. So you're constantly chasing. So when you get to 100,000, okay, what's next? 200,000, 300,000, 400,000, and you never fulfill that bucket that's inside of you, and you're constantly chasing. That's the competitor inside of us, especially being an ex-athlete. And so I learned to shift my focus in life as I realized that if I'm the best, because that's really what I want to chase, right? I want to chase being the best. And that's what I realized. It's not about the most money. It's about maximizing my potential and being the very best Sal that I could be with the talent that I'm given, with, God's, gift of my mom, my dad, my brother, everything around me. Like if I can go be the best version of me, I can be happy and I can lay my head down at night. Now, consequently, if I'm the best at what I fucking do, the money comes. Mm-hmm. And when I switched those two priorities in my brain, my life started to become a lot more happy. And what I mean by that is if you focus on being the best, there's an internal fulfillment that happens that money will not replace. Now, the good news is I'm also a proponent of money. I like making money. Mm-hmm. It makes life easier. But when you shift your focus and realize that if you're the best, the money is a byproduct of that, life becomes a lot easier because you can focus on the process of becoming the best version of whatever it is. And I always say, like, if you're the best concrete contractor, you make a lot of money. If you're the best NASCAR driver, you make a lot of money. If you're the best football player, you make a lot of money. If you're the best stripper, you make a lot of money. It doesn't matter what you do. It matters that you're the best. And if that happens, the money will take care of itself. So focus on the process. Yeah. And that's what I learned is I was able to free myself of stop chasing this and start focusing on this, which consequently was the person that looked back at me in the mirror. Yeah. Start becoming the best version of me, and everything else fell into place.
You know what? I like that. I love that. But I want to go back. I want to go back here because you and Andy, you guys are in Starbucks, right? I lost you. Yep. You guys are in Starbucks when this happens. It's you, Andy, and it's Chris?
Yep.
At the same time. Okay. So is Andy and Chris, are they making any money at this point right in time?
They had just started like seeing a little bit of success. You know what I mean? Where Andrew had just bought a house. He's out of my dad's house. Chris still lived I think Chris has just moved to St. Louis, but he was living in a condo, and they had just started making a little bit of money. And to quantify it, they were probably both making about they were probably both making $150,000, $200,000 a year. Somewhere in that ballpark. Their careers were taking off. Yeah, and they could see that, hey, they had a good look. Andrew's got a great business brain, and he has a good vision. I always say we're a good yin and yang because he's a great visionary. I'm a great doer. And so we work really well together in that sense. And Chris is a great teammate. And the three of us work really, really well that way because we ebb and flow. Like we all fill each other's voids. Yeah. And knowing like we know our role. It goes back to developing a team. Like my role, I know. Andrew's role, he knows. Chris's role, he knows. And we all execute. And we sat at that table. And now, mind you, we've been in the backfield together. Yeah. We've been doing this together.
I wish I was a fly on the wall on this conversation because I want to know. Tell me how that conversation went because someone had to come to you and say, "Hey, look, we know you're making that $350,000, $400,000 a year deal. Like, we want you to leave that and come on over to us." Now, what was Sal?
Oh, bro.
What was that conversation like?
You got to understand, like, at the time, I made the most money at the table.
Exactly.
Right? And I remember Andrew's like, dude, we got to fucking go, man. Like, we got to fucking go. And I'm like, Andrew, I got a $50,000 fucking check. 15th, and he's like, well, after that, you're either going to go or it's going to be somebody else. And I remember thinking, fuck it, let's rock. And I can walk into, I see this Starbucks. It's the same fucking table. I go to the Starbucks every day and I can see this, like sitting there. And it's funny because you could tell we were business, we're playing business professional. Andrew had like his little notebook, Chris had his little notebook. I had my little note. We were going to take notes. We didn't take fucking notes. I don't ever that's another thing. I don't play business anymore. I'm fucking short. This is why I don't have notes. I don't fucking listen, man. You're going to get what you get. But at that time we were young. We thought we were hustling. And, but the truth of the matter is, everybody, there's only 5 people who supported my move, my wife being one of them. She was not my wife at the time. The good thing about Andrew, Chris, and I is like, our blind trust and faith in one another that we're going to deliver is you're not going to breach that wall. And I think that's what makes us unique as a team is I didn't know that was the right answer, but here's what I knew. I knew that if I'm going to go to war, I'm going to go to war with these two motherfuckers. Right. And at bare minimum, we're going to be out on the battlefield fucking bleeding out together. At bare minimum. That's where we were going to end, and I could lay my head down with that. But what I remember processing in that moment, if I don't say yes and I don't go chase those dreams, regret was going to haunt me for the rest of my life. Yeah. And, not chasing your dreams or not giving yourself a chance to chase your dreams is the biggest regret that I think people do have in life. So, the fear of what if I fail is why most people never start. That's right. And I knew that at that age. I didn't experience it really, but I kind of, I knew that with a little bit of baseball, specifically with my failure. And, God gave me the ability, to see it, have some clarity in saying, you know what, go for it. Like, what do you have to lose? Go for it. Chase your dreams. And it wasn't, we didn't hit the button and we started making millions of dollars. I mean, 3 or 4 years, it was hard, man. But I knew that if I didn't go, I knew I could always come back and make money, or I could always, I knew I would figure that out. But if I didn't chase my dreams, that I would always regret on my deathbed that I didn't go. I didn't try. And if I was going to go, these are the two guys that I'm going to go to war with no matter what. Yeah. So this is my opportunity. And it was scary. And I'm not, it wasn't as scary, I think, as most people make it out to be, because I knew Andrew and Chris. And this is not, us going to war together was not something new. Yeah. And, I pulled the plug, man. We went. And you know what? It's been the ride of a fucking lifetime. I've done more shit. I've traveled the whole country in a Nissan Maxima, man. I've been in more stores. I could tell you more about every shithole town and across the country. I have more friends. I've drank more beer and more bars and worked out in the weirdest gyms across the country, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
That's awesome.
I wouldn't trade any.
You talked about support in that move, but you specifically brought up your wife, who was not your wife. Talk about that relationship, because, if we have listeners out there that just realize I'm not happy or I'm not doing what God designed me to do, but then they've got or don't have the support from their significant other. Like, talk us through first, how you guys met and kind of that, the timing that y'all met, and then going through that transition from medical sales to starting up this supplement company.
It was pretty, we met in a bar, right? There was a great story. I'll tell you what, I got a gangster story if you want it.
Yes. Give it to us. Yes. All right.
So my wife, Smoke, I'm sure you guys follow her on Instagram. She's fucking hot. And all these random dudes are going to be following my wife.
100%. Bing, 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 bing.
What's her at again?
So I remember we were at the bar, and I was with one of my buddies, Corey, right, who was one of the guys who supported me, and his girlfriend at the time was like, "Hey, this bartender's really cute," and I'm like, "Yeah, she's fucking hot," And I thought I had the game, and so I go up and I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm Sal. If I can slide in like Dumb and Dumber, like fucking Harry and Lloyd inside,
put out the vibe.
And, I'm hey, what's your name? No response. I'm like, I hear you're a nurse. I'm in med sales. Just trying anything, like any fucking lure in the water that I can even get a hit. She won't even give it to me. And so I tore a napkin, and I know the walk away move, right? He who controls the conversation has the power to walk away. That's a Tom Hopkins. So I was like, all right, well, she's gonna play hardball. Listen, I know you like me. That's what I can see the vibe. You checking me out. I'm not stupid. So I wrote my phone number on a corner of a napkin. I tore it off, and I said, since you won't talk to me, if you want to take me out, you give me a call. And I slid it across to her, and I remember her looking at me like, are you fucking serious? And I walked away. And that night, my phone rang. Ring, ring. Hey, what are you doing? Bam. So I got fish on, right? So then we start talking. The coolest part about that is the night before we got married, my wife actually gave me that corner of the napkin, torn back off, put back in a frame, and it hangs in our house right now.
Oh, man. That is awesome.
That is gangster.
All you youngsters, leave the number and walk. If anything, you got a great story.
Gang.
You hear that, Jaden?
That's right.
It may only work 1 out of 10 times, but if it works on that one time, that's all you need.
That's all you need, bro. Thanks for a great story.
Great. So talk us through the support through that, because you guys are dating at this point.
Yeah, so we were dating, and it actually worked out really well. So she was doing she had a transition of career path as well. And my wife's always supported my goals and my dreams, no matter what, man. And I think that's a really big, part for a relationship is understanding, life is tough. And it's a hell of a lot harder when you've got to fight somebody at home to do, to chase your dreams and live your life. And I think one of the things that, my dad was, divorced a couple times, that he did, he allowed me or taught me the opportunity or the pathway of having good, strong, firm conversations at home are okay. And, and I remember telling my wife, like, I want to chase, my girlfriend at the time, I want, this is what I want to do. And I remember saying, well, then you should do it. And that little stroke of confidence, has always rang true from her voice in my head. And it's funny because, when you have a strong partner at home, and a lot of us have had, a lot of difficult relationships, right? But when you have a strong partner at home, there's something special to be said for that, because she knows, man, like if I'm in, like, she's full boat supporting me, and it makes it that much easier. Like, knowing that I don't have to call her and tell her, hey, I'll be home in 15 minutes. I'm not home in 15 minutes. I'm gonna get my ass ripped or all these things. It's like, if I'm going to go out and I'm going to battle for our family, knowing that somebody has your back and somebody's willing to go to battle for you is one of the best feelings in the entire world. And I tell my young guys this all the time at the office here is, if you set that conversation up for success early, that I'm going to battle for us, for our future family, for who I want our lives, or for what I want our lives to be. And so that we can live the lives that we truly want. I need you to support me, and I need you to support those actions. I learned that from my wife, and I learned that from having her have my back. I never begged that from her. That's something that she gave me that is now a lesson that's so valuable to my guys and girls here at HQ is, that support gives you the stroke of confidence to go fight and go chase your dreams and give that extra 10%, because that extra 10%, we all know this, is either battling that phone call that I'm going to be late to home, or I'm going to pour that 10% into one extra phone call here or one extra interaction here. I'm always 20 fucking minutes late, and I'm 20 minutes late because she gives me the permission to go fucking chase my fucking dreams. Yeah. And I think, my Uncle John told me this a long time ago, and I remember 22-year-old Sal didn't have a fucking clue about this, okay? I thought, you know what? He used to tell me about him and my Aunt Dolores, and he'd say, hey, I'm going to teach you this, Sal. You don't realize this, but in order for you to be king, she's got to be queen. And I used to always think, bro, I'm king. That's just the way it is. Yeah. And I have stolen that line and made it famous on the internet, because what he said that day was extremely true to me. If I'm going to go king, I need her to be queen, which means I need to support her. And you can't be a great king without a great queen.
That's right.
And dude, when I go to war and I gotta wage it and I'm in, I know my queen's in my corner, and that's a huge advantage. It's a competitive advantage for me, because, if I can attack with that much intent and that much focus on what I have going on, not worrying about what's going on over here, it makes me that much more effective. It makes me be able to have that much better or deeper of a conversation and really deliver with that much more intent. And it's allowed me a great opportunity to really chase what I want to do.
Man, I love that. So First Form's growing. Talk us through kind of the first couple of years. You said it was tough, but talk us through how you get to, I mean, really what the last 2 years you guys have dang near doubled in size from employees. I mean, this exponential growth. But what was it? What was the secret sauce that First Form implemented? And Andy's talked about valuing every customer like they're the most important customer, because they are the most important customer. But talk about that secret sauce that the three of you laid the foundation for the rest of the team.
I think, Andrew and us being fat and Chris really struggling with weight has been a huge success component for us. We're in the weight loss business, man. And unfortunately, the entire weight loss industry is built on lies. It's built on, 21-day fixes, or, some special diet, or some this, some that, and it's all some bullshit is what it is. And being a person that struggled with weight my entire life and his entire life, it's allowed us a great opportunity to honestly be transparent. And social media crossed our pathways right at the right time, where we were able to tell our story and really go through the journey with somebody else and explaining to them that, hey, they're not alone. And, that diet didn't just not work for you. It doesn't work for anybody, because it's a lie. And I always use the term in here, where there's mystery, there's margin. when they can sell you an easy fix, it's because they make a lot of money and they understand you're going to go away. They don't care about building a brand. They care about creating a transaction. And the transaction in our business is the easy option. And that's not who we are. We're here to stay. We're here to build a brand based on quality, on helping real people get real results. And like I alluded to earlier in the podcast, like we were taught to lead by example. And if you're going to show somebody insecurity, well, you got to talk to them about your insecurity. And if you're going to help them fight, what looks back at them in the mirror, you have to share your struggle of how you fought you fighting against what looks back at you in the mirror and how it's uncomfortable for you to take your shirt off. And you have to be able to explain that to people and help them through that journey. Changing your life is not easy. It's hard. And so in our industry, they've told you for years and years and years that it's easy. This is the easy fix. It's not easy. It's difficult. But if you're willing to work for it, we will meet you halfway. We will give you the information. We will give you the tools. We will help you get there, but I can't do the work for you. And that message and ability to be transparent helped us, and we just crossed paths with social at the right time. It helped us connect to people, to help make people better versions of themselves, right? Which is what our goal is. It's no different in-house than out-of-house. If we can connect to people, we can help them change their lives. And it goes back to the narcissism thing. If I can make my life about them, they'll make their life about me, and we can win together. And I always look at a good business transaction as when, if I win, you win, we win. And when you look at our situation, it's, not only are we helping you change your life from a physical standpoint, but now we've created a bond with a customer, not a transaction, but an actual friendship, a bond that allows people to become better versions of themselves, right? Better fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, husbands, all through hard work, discipline. And really, we get to play, and we have the opportunity to play a role inside that every single day. We cross paths, and you can say, and I'll be the first one to tell you, we're lucky. We are lucky because we happen to be at a time in our lives where social media crossed. And I believe, deeply in the faith of God that he put us in the right spot for the right reasons at the right time. And it's our obligation to deliver on that message. And I think what makes us unique, or our special sauce, is the ability to express humility, and understanding, bro, that we're all fucking human and we all struggle.
Yeah.
And it's hard to be able to tell and look another man in the face and be like, listen, man, I struggle with that too.
Yeah.
If you help me, I'm going to help you. And that's the thing, man. We just crossed and it works.
Yeah.
And so,
I love
that.
Well, I was just going to say, one thing you guys do better than anybody is like you said, you're really clear on who you're serving, and everything you do is about that person. It's not about what supplements I can sell them. It's about how can I enhance this person's life. And so that's what we respect more than anything, more than, the great products, because you guys do have amazing products, but it's who you are as people and the humility that you show. And it's really true that you are focused on that person that you're serving. It's so cool to see and so refreshing.
You know what it is for me as well? It was the educational process, because I went through, once I got the product, I had to understand how to use the product. So I went on YouTube and I saw your ass, Sal, on YouTube explaining the products. And I was like, and I'm holding the product. I'm like, okay, that's how I use it. It was like the ease of which you guys explain the use of the product and how it can affect your life in a positive way. That's, to me, that really grabbed on to me early.
Well, and here's a testimony, because we've talked about it on the show. I've talked about it, right? My fitness journey post-football was very different than I thought it was going to be. I thought, I loved working out. I loved training when I played. And I was like, oh man, I can't wait to do the things that I actually really like doing, like these heavy single leg squats and these power cleans, get rid of all that. And I get to do the good stuff that actually makes me feel good. But it was a whole lot harder, because life, business, all these things got in the way. And I say get in the way, but I recognize that, okay, I don't have the discipline that I had for that, whether it's lack of passion, whatever it is. But here's a deal, is literally, so you talk about pouring into the people and giving them resources. This is a free app, by the way, My Transformation, right? It's a First Form app that actually has literally, I have it on my phone, and I get my workouts off of it now. I track my meals on it. And this is literally the free version, because I'm a cheap ass. And I'll go spend $4 on energy drinks a day, but I won't spend 99 cents a month on an app that helps me change my life, right? But literally, you guys, and I get emails. I mean, I know you personally write all the emails that go to me in my inbox, every other day, for sure. So thank you for that. I appreciate you spending the time. But I mean, it's like, hey, you tracked your food, you tracked this. I mean, literally, you guys have created a product that has made it so easy for me. But guess what? The easy part is done. Now the hard part of me showing up to do it, that's on me. And I recognize that. And it just, man, it's been just that spark for me. And really like, which then my wife is going through the same deal. And we're doing this journey together. But man, I can't commit. When I left St. Louis, I downloaded this app because I saw the trainers that you have there that you know, you can call anytime and we can talk about nutrition. We can talk about training. We can talk about all this. Like the resources that you have available for your customers, it doesn't exist out there, that at least I've found. And the resources that you provide, because again, like you said, now we're fans for life. We're customers for life of First Form. Like, will I not ever buy any other product? I wouldn't go that far, but I would say I'm always going to buy your product and I'm always going to be an advocate for you. Sorry, man. I'm always going to be an advocate. When you guys start making D-ball, then I'll buy everything from you. But
I like living on this side of the jail.
Okay, good. I just got to go to Tijuana, you know, But man, and what you just said is so true, and I wanted to reinforce that. Like, it's not just like, hey, you're the president of a company, and hey, we're selling, and I'm selling. It truly is like there's a heart behind the company that is so unique, especially to the industry, that we care about transforming lives, you know, and it's just, man, it's so cool to see, and really thank you, because in the last 4 weeks, my journey has already started to shift. I'm not there by any means.
I agree, man.
But my journey has already started to shift.
Well, I appreciate that. Can I add to that? Do you mind?
Yeah, absolutely. Please.
I think it makes it easy when the single greatest thing that I've been able to do in my life is to be able to help people get the keys back to their own life. And God gifted us the ability to be able to help people do that. And when you give somebody the keys back to their life, through them earning the respect for themselves, through, you know, creating discipline in their lives and chasing to become the best version of themselves, when you help set the sail for that person to get onto the water and you watch them grab the reins and actually run, it's the greatest feeling to be able to help somebody achieve that. And the fact that I get the opportunity to do that every single day for a living is my obligation, and I really feel like the luckiest person on planet Earth, because those things that you talk about, we want to remove all of the obstacles and why somebody wouldn't go chase their dreams or go live the best, most healthy life that they can, because I have been in those shoes. And you can make all the excuses in the world. And we always tell them, like, hey man, like, we're going to give you the plan. We're going to teach you to track your food. Supplements play a very, very small role in this process. You just got to meet us halfway and do the work. Yeah. And if you're willing to do the work, I'm going to help you with everything else. And we're going to remove all those other obstacles. And when you can watch somebody gain control of their physical self and actually chase the discipline and the hard work, you watch them start to take flight, man. And it's the best fucking feeling on planet Earth is to watch a man or woman become the best father or husband or mother or sister, whatever that is. It's the best feeling in the entire world. And it's our obligation to be able to provide that for people.
That's awesome. You guys are doing a great job. Yeah. You mentioned, we'll start to wrap up here. We want to be, you know, again, respectful of your time, get you back to the family, but you talked about being a father. Talk about that transition from, you know, being a guy, because it's different, right? When, okay, I've got to worry about myself. Okay, then I get married, but I can still be pretty selfish, right? Like, I could still spend a lot of time for myself. When kids come into the picture, how did that affect you, whether it be from a motivation standpoint? Because for me, it was a whole new sense of motivation, you know, to be a great father, husband, human, but also, like, how does it change your responsibilities and challenges in managing, you know, your day and schedule so that you can still pour into your kids physically as well?
Well, there's two parts to that question, right? I think, you know, learning to become a father, you know, you realize that the whole lead by example thing takes a whole new meaning, because, you know, what you realize about kids is they're sponges, man. And they're watching every single move you make, and they're listening to every conversation. They're smart. And, you know, I wanted my kids, I still want my kids to be extremely proud of me. That's important to me. Is, you know, I try to, and I tell I've been talking about legacy for a long time, and it's really important to me. And I always tell my guys, like my job is to develop our young men and women here to the very best of my ability. And I'll give them every fucking inch, anything I got, everything that I got, I pour into our people here. I pour into our customers. I try to do the best job that I can. And the reason being is, I'm not going to live forever. And I recognize that. And I got to be real careful talking about this in some way, shape, or form, because, I believe in a lot of traction, all types of weird stuff. But, I'm not going to live forever. I recognize that. But if I do the best job that I can in trying to develop these young men and women, that when I'm gone, my kids will hear a similar story like the Home Depot story, if you will, from my dad. They'll hear a similar story to that. They'll be able, the community, if I do a good job taking care of the community and I give them everything I got, when I'm gone, that community will take care of my kids. And that's important to me because I might not live forever, but stories can be told for a long time. And I want those stories to be good. I want them to be deep. I want them to be raw. I want them to be real. And I want my community of guys and girls, I want them to help raise my kids and my grandkids, and I want them to take care of them. And that's important to me. And, that lead by example thing sets to a whole different route whenever I start to see it through that light bar, through that scope, right? And that's one side of having kids, is making sure that I leave a legacy that speaks for me for a long period of time through raising and helping people become people of character so that they can help my kids become better people of character as they mature. That's important to me. Step two is, when you're chasing your dreams, it's really easy to get lost in the parenting relationship, business mix. And I always talk about, dividing my days up into buckets and making sure that I'm happy, because if I'm happy, I can attack the process that's in front of me, right? I can do the best job that I possibly can. There's a couple buckets for me that make me happy. And being a dad is one of those buckets. But I have to have some me time, right? So I like being with me. I like having some alone time. I think we all need it. I think it's important. I like being a dad. I love being a business person, and I love being a husband. And those are the four things in my life right now that are extremely important. And I try not to let those things stray from my path. And I get asked this a lot about balance, like how do you balance all the mix and make sure you still be a dad? And this is what I do, and it's worked for me. And I think it's helped some people that I've worked with in the past. I wake up every day at 5:30 with attacking my mission, which is me. I do fitness every day from 5:30 to 7 o'clock in the morning. Fitness is an important part of my lifestyle. It's what I do every single day. It's important that I prioritize it first, because like most men, if we don't prioritize us, we'll put ourselves to the back of the bus. Yep. And then we end up just checking it down. And then before long, 240 becomes 250, 250 becomes 260, 260 becomes 300 pounds. And now you're dad bod, right? And I don't want to be dad bod. So fitness is extremely important to me. I struggle with weight. So if I get that out of the way early, I can feel good. I can hit my day running. From 7 to 9, I'm dad, man. I brought those kids into the world. I'm going to raise them. I want to cook them breakfast. I want to get them ready for school. I want to take them to school. Nothing is more important than that for me. And I want to make sure that I attack that part of the process. I set my phone down during that time frame because we can all get distracted from our phones, right? Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and we're never present inside the moment. And I want to be a present father. I don't want to be a distant father. I want to be an active, present father. And so I try to live that time with them. I watch cartoons and, get them dressed, and I do all those things that a dad gets to do that I get to, that I want to make sure that I experience and enjoy. From 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, I'm businessman. I try to kick ass. I try to take names. I don't go to lunch. I don't play golf. I don't do anything. Like, I am extremely disciplined to business, because just like my fathering journey, or just like my personal journey, I stick to that boundary very, 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 very disciplined to that time set, because I get paid to run this business, and my job is to pour my heart and soul into these people and give it to our customers. And so I take that time extremely serious. I don't go to baseball games. I don't play golf. I don't go to lunch. I attack that avenue. And when I walk in the door at 6 o'clock, from 6 to 8:30, I'm dad. I'm right back in the dad role. I want to cook them dinner. I want to, try to decompress. I set my phone down. If I'm on the phone the whole way home, my guys know this. I mean, I will hang up on them. I'll walk in the door and say, hey, I got to go, and hang up. I don't care where I'm at in the conversation. I walk in the door and I'm done. And then from 8 to 8:31, I try to get laid. From 8:31,
Hey, that's including getting undressed and redressed again, by the way.
That's impressive. That's impressive. Oh, you're going.
I'm an efficient motherfucker. From 8:30 to 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, I'm husband, man. I love, I let my wife, hey, what do you want for dinner? What do you want to do? The good news is I'm married to a workaholic too. So she typically starts working. If she works, I'll work. If she wants to watch Real Housewives of Orange County, I'll watch the shit. I don't care.
Right, yeah.
So I try to spend that time as a relationship, and I love being with my wife. And so we really do try to focus, on us during that time and, talk and have a good time. We have dinner together every night. We eat with the kids kind of, and then we eat together during that time frame. So, those are the things that make me happy. And I stay extremely disciplined to that schedule because it's how I fill my buckets the best. And it allows me, instead of being distracted, 80% of the day, I stay extremely disciplined to what's going on. And it makes me feel good at night when I lay my head down. It's not that that little schedule has allowed me to be more clear. It's allowed my head to be more comforted at night, knowing that I attacked the process that was in front of me. I didn't spend it scatterbrained all day.
Man,
you know what I love about that schedule that you just ran through is the first hour and a half of your day is spent on you and making sure that you're pouring back into yourself so that the rest of the day can be about everybody else. And I love that that's the way that you start every single day.
And you have to, man, because it's important, right? Like, we've all been there. I have learned, for me, in order for me to be the best version of me, I got to be happy with me. And that gives me confidence that I took myself as a priority first. And that first hour and a half of the day, I can do whatever I want. The only person that can get into that half of the day or that part of the day with me is my wife. I have a gym at my house. My guys can train there. I have friends that train there, but you cannot train from 5:30 to 7 a.m. You are not welcome. That is my time and my wife's time. Do not come in there. And I read during that time on a treadmill. I will watch TV. I do whatever I want to do. If I want to go in there and sit in the dark in some fucking Zen pose, and that's what I do. But it's about prioritizing me so that I can go get the best version of myself throughout the rest of the day. And it's helped me really focus and never let that sway. So, that's kind of my reason.
I love that.
Man.
You listen to that, Darren? You gonna take notes on that?
Shoot, I'm getting there, man. I am getting there, Sal. So
what are you struggling with?
Consistency. You know what? I always struggle with time, man. Time is, getting pulled in different directions. Again, I work with a commercial real estate firm as a partner, and I have my own software firm as well. So I'm torn between the two most of the time. So I'm always struggling with the discipline. I love, like I said, I love what you just said, because if you can stay disciplined throughout the day, you actually create more time for yourself.
So this helped me, and I would imagine that it'd be good for you. I used to allow people access to my life all the time, just like that, Darren. It's like, hey man, what do you know? And I'm always, but the problem is I was never ever dedicated to one thing.
Right.
And I always tell people, don't let other people rob your time. When you start to respect your time, they'll start to respect your time. And if they know that you have these boundaries in play, like my guys, they won't call me. If I walk in that door, they don't fucking call me at night, because that's my time. And if you bother me, that building better be on motherfucking fire. Otherwise, I'm going to hear about it. And when I started to respect my time, they started to respect my time.
Yeah.
And I think that setting of boundaries happens with you first.
Yep.
And you have to let them know, hey, this is important to me. If you can't do this, then, it's going to be really hard. And what happens is you realize, like, people will respect it, but you must respect it first.
Exactly.
Yeah. See, and what I love about this is you're so focused in your grand scheme of, okay, I got to pour into other people. But in order to do that, I've got to fill my buckets too, or else I'm just pouring out. And I think, and I know I'll speak for Darren. That's something that he's the guy that'll give his shirt off his back to somebody he doesn't know, just to help him out, because he wants to help and he has the heart for it. But I know we both struggle. All three of us struggle. It's like, okay, well, but how am I filling my bucket?
Exactly.
Because I'm just giving. And then and I said it on the show, like, then you resent giving, right? Then it's like, man, I don't have anything else to give, but people keep asking and I keep giving. And I know I struggle with that too. That's something that I don't have enough me time, right? I don't have enough where it's like, okay, just me, and same with you, man. But I love that you've dedicated that.
I'm a selfish bastard. I don't have a problem with me time at all.
Yeah, you don't. Well, go ahead, Ben.
All right, last question, man. We've got to have you back on, because we could have gone another 3-4 hours here.
Sure. Well, when y'all come to Dallas, when you guys make the trip down.
Yeah, and you actually already buried the lead here. You kind of mentioned it a second ago, but the question we ask every guest at the end of the episode is this: if you could go back to any point in your life and tell yourself one thing, where do you go and what do you tell yourself?
I mean, I think, man, there's a lot of like open-endedness to this thing, but I think what I hope to leave my kids with is, you're going to be dead a long time. And fear is not a reason not to chase your dreams. And all the excuses that you make in your head are simply that. They're just excuses. And when I started to recognize that time's not infinite, that we have a measured amount of time and you don't know when your clock's going to get punched, and to really learn to start appreciating every moment and start to appreciating every relationship and every conversation and really genuinely take it in. And I mean, I digest it, man, to a different level. My life started to become extremely better because I started to value every interaction and I started to value every opportunity. When it's raining, finding the beauty inside of that, but understanding that we're going to be here for a very short period of time. And the world keeps spinning regardless whether you want it to or not. And, fear is not a reason not to be the best version of you or not to chase the best version of you. And understanding that you're on borrowed time, man, and the gas pedal's on the right and you got to fucking go. And I think if I could instill that lesson in my kids to go chase experiences, not things, and go value relationships and people, and I'm not saying not money, but I'm saying go, this is the best way I can describe it to you in the whole entire world. When I was younger, when you're a young guy, you envision everything, Lamborghinis and private jets and, women, a whole deal, right? And I've done it all. I mean, I've been on, G650s. I've raced across the country in Lamborghinis. I've done everything you could possibly fucking do. And this is the difference. I've done those things with shitty people and I've had a shitty time. I've gone to Haiti, which is the worst place in the entire fucking world. It's the poorest country in the entire world. And I went with the best group of men that I've ever fucking walked the face of the earth with. And I had the best fucking time. And I've learned this, that we don't know how long our time is on earth, but I can tell you it's people, not things. It's experiences, not things. It's people. People matter. People are the difference. And when you can start to place your value in relationships, your life becomes inherently more valuable. It becomes easier. It becomes better, becomes more fun. And if I could go back and tell my younger self that's what I'd tell it.
That's awesome.
Worry about the people, not the things.
Dude,
that's
drop
gold.
the freaking mic.
That's gold. That's great, man. And I'll say this, and you just posted something on Instagram, I think it was yesterday, just talking about, look, my goal in life, like it's very clear, is to be the best human that I can be, not comparing to somebody else, not comparing to them. My only goal in life is to be the best human that I can possibly be. And you're focused on that. The rest seems to fall in line. And so, man, I respect that. And from our perspective, man, we look up to you, the things that you've accomplished, the way you look at your wife, the way you raise your kids, the way you lead your company, the friend that you've been, man, those are all things that, man, we respect the hell out of you, man, and we appreciate the time that you spent.
You guys are doing it the right way, Sal, man. We really respect who you are, man, as a man and the company as well, man. You guys do it the right way.
Well, it means a lot coming from you guys. Listen, I'm very blessed. We have a great team, my brother, Chris, our guys and girls here, but that really, coming from you guys, that means a lot. And I really appreciate, it's just, life is cool, man. It's a wild ride, great journey. And I respect, and I'm very extremely thankful for the opportunity to be on your guys' show. And I'd love to come back. I feel like I'm in my head. This is funny, right? This is a competitor of me. I'm analyzing. I'm like, man, I could have done better. Like the show was.
Hey, it's true. It's true. You could have for sure.
It's literally like it's how we're wired.
Yeah, right? Exactly, man.
But there's so much. I feel like we get each other, and there's so much more shit that we can just dig up and talk through, and on deeper levels. And an hour and a half to walk through Sal Frisella's life is not enough, right? And not to really expose the journey that you've been on, the impact that you've made, and we absolutely need to have you back on, man. Yeah. But I mean, you did okay. You did okay. You've not been our best for sure, but like,
we'll watch film though. We'll clean it up.
We'll clean it up. We'll send you our notes.
Bro, this will haunt me. Like, I could have transitioned here. I know I could have told this story.
No.
You know what you said? You just said something, Sal, that just stuck with me. You didn't even know you said it. You said, we're going to be dead a very long time. And that fucking, I mean, it shocked me when you said it because it's so true. Like, how short of that window do we have? Yeah. I mean, it's such a small window. You could be dead forever. Like, I mean, it's just, we got a window, man, and that it stuck. You went right over it.
Yeah.
But it it punched me in the face, man. So,
you know what I got to do? And listen, I'm gonna give a plug here, okay?
All right.
And we support an orphanage in Haiti. Okay, we do a thing called 30 for the Kids, and it's 30forthekids.com. We support an entire village in Haiti. It's 30 minutes of fitness for 30 days. We'll run one in June. We're going to run it. You guys got to do it with me.
Yes.
Yep.
I got to get you guys to Haiti is what I should do.
Yes.
We do a men's trip, and it's so fucking rad, man. Like, it is I mean, you know, it ain't the Ritz-Carlton by any means, but it is where we understand each other. The conversations that you get to have when you can really check down and sit down and enjoy and get perspective of life. You guys would really, really, really enjoy it. Right. And I think if we can make it happen and we get squeeze you guys in a sense, you can make it work. I think you would appreciate going. It'd be good for all of us.
I can't speak for these two, and I'm going to commit on air before even talking to my wife, and that's a big deal. I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm 100% in, man. And that's one of the things you talk about kids and being proud of it. And that's one of the things my wife and I, from the second we had our first, was we want to show them what it looks like to serve, and we got to do it. And so mission trips are a big part of my wife and I. And, you know, a mentor of ours back home that poured into my wife and I's life, you know, they support an orphanage in Haiti as well, end up adopting a brother and sister from Haiti. And so, man, like, my sister's been, and I've heard great things about it. So I'm excited. So please send the invite, because I know I'm there.
Here you go.
We're in for sure.
So, well, hey, man, appreciate you. Again, First Form, Real AF. We got Sal Frisella here. And nonprofit, again, please, how someone listening that's interested can find you guys.
30forthekids.com.
30forthekids.com. Man, appreciate you, man. And tell Big Reg we said what's up. We appreciate you. But tell everyone we said hello, man. Look forward to talking to you soon.
There you go, Sal. Rub that thing, Sal.
I'm not going to lie. You backed up, and I was like, is he not wearing pants right now?
Draws on.
Pants to work.
It's his office. He can do what he wants.
Man, we got to start a supplement company. I'm tired of pants.
All right, boys. I appreciate it.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
Thanks, Sal. Appreciate it, man.
See you, man.
All right.